G'day folks, Chris McLean, Peak Performance and Transformation Coach, back with another episode of the Peak Performance and Predictable Growth Show, the peak performance show for creative agency founders, owners and leaders, where we explore the agency journey from the unique perspective of those at the coalface of the industry, and my guests help unlock and dissect tools, strategies, tactics from the trenches that are working right now to help you deliver better results for your clients and grow and scale your agency to 6 and 7 figures and beyond. And it's my absolute pleasure to welcome in the studio today Tamar from Genius Group, the Genius Group, formerly Genius and Sell, who help SMEs and Fortune 500 companies with their online client acquisition strategy. Tamar, absolute pleasure to have you here. I had your co-founder, your business partner, Julian, on the show a few weeks ago, and we connected after that. So wonderful to have you join me here today.
That's right. And thank you so much, Chris. It's really a pleasure to be on your show.
No, pleasure to have you here. So take us through your journey. I know you've got a really, really interesting and diverse background and set of curiosities and interests. So take us through your journey to sort of where you are today working in the Genius Group. I know you've just gone through a rebranding as well from Genius and Sell through to the Genius Group, and then we can get into how you help and how you support entrepreneurs grow their businesses. But take us from the start. How did you arrive where you're at?
Yeah, great question. I'm a California girl, so through and through. I may not have the blonde hair, but I do have the light eyes. And actually, I'm half Latina, so that is very California kind of mix. So I love my California. I'm from Silicon Valley. I've seen startup land become startup land, when I was a kid, and freeways being built that hadn't been built before, all kinds of cool things to see Silicon Valley really start to shape into what it is today. So I think for me, I was always surrounded by this idea of entrepreneurship or startups, or I don't know, that sounded really interesting to me. Even as a kid, I would tell my parents I was going to have 5 jobs and one of them was going to be a businesswoman. I didn't know exactly what that meant, but I think because I was so influenced by the things around me in Silicon Valley, that definitely played a factor into shaping who I am today. So then as I went along in school, I had so many different things I wanted to do. At one point, I even wanted to join the CIA. I think sometimes being an agency owner is a little bit like being in the CIA, because you have to internet stalk people. But eventually I did land on studying international business, which seemed to fit with me, but I also was studying philosophy. And at the time when I was studying, I was actually teaching at a private school for many, many years. So I have a background as an educator, and that has definitely helped me as an entrepreneur as well, how to structure things, how to set rules, how to work with clients, because I think working with kids and parents, especially the parents, that can be the most demanding customer you'll ever have in your life, because you have their most precious commodity. So for sure, a lot of those things taught me especially how to be really diplomatic. So then after that, the school I was working at shut down, and I had already dabbled in some side businesses. I was also working in publishing. I was working with celebrities in Hollywood. I was ghostwriting for people. I was editing books and working for a medium-sized publishing firm. So like I said, like you said, there's a lot of diverse experience. So I was kind of at this fork in the road. Which way do I go? I thought maybe I'd go back into publishing, but then I was hearing all these things about China, Shanghai. There's so many opportunities. So I decided to take a chance, take a risk out there. And through LinkedIn, which I was just kind of getting familiar with and just starting to experiment with, I met my current business partner, who was also going to Shanghai, and we decided to meet up. This is over 5 years ago, and we really hit it off, and we thought, okay, we have some good synergy here. There's lots of opportunities for entrepreneurs. It's really easy to set up a business here. let's try something together. So now here we are over 5 years later, and we've worked on so many different projects. It sounds really fancy to say that we work with Fortune 500s, which we do, but actually we prefer the SMEs, the small to medium-sized enterprises, because they really know what they want. They have a team that doesn't have too many cooks in the kitchen, so to speak. So it's easier to work with. They take our suggestions pretty well. And the scope of the project is really manageable for our team. Our whole team works remotely. That's something really unique about us, and we have since day one. So everything we've set up, infrastructure for our employees, infrastructure for our clients, like everything is super well organized, automated, structured like you wouldn't believe. And it took us a long time to do that, but now that we're to that place, there's a lot of stability that we have, and now we're in this growth phase of offering a few different services still related to online client acquisition, but we offer a lot more copywriting and design services now because we found that our clients needed that. But overall, we still focus on this idea of online client acquisition because lead generation is pretty obscure, but acquiring clients online, that's very self-explanatory, and it's something that people, especially in 2021, need more than ever. So that's a little bit about me and about the Genius Group.
Wow, you in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really interesting journey. I love how you sort of grew from that exposure to entrepreneurship in Silicon Valley and took that globally, and now you're operating in China. In terms of are you still largely LinkedIn focused as a business? You said you're sort of diversifying that portfolio of what you deliver. I know you've grown as more a LinkedIn strategy company. Is that still the core focus? Are you diversifying that service to more just all online platforms and going a bit broader with that? Obviously clients need to acquire customers all over the internet. So is that sort of the purview that you're looking at now?
We are still LinkedIn focused just because from our experience and working in different social media platforms, there's just not, especially in the businesses we work with in the industries, there's not a lot of interest for something like Facebook or Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, etc., what have you. I mean, I really believe that LinkedIn is still in its golden era. It won't last for long, but we're still in this golden era of LinkedIn. And there's still a natural filter that if you're not there to do business on LinkedIn, you become this pariah. You get kind of outcasted or ignored by the tribe, right? So we found that that's the most helpful, but we do help our clients like drive traffic to maybe a landing page or especially like a webinar. We do done for you webinars. So that's been an interesting platform to explore because it's not social media. It's like a static lead magnet, but it's video, and it creates a certain rapport and trust with potential leads. So that's something interesting. But now I'd say we're kind of half and half. Like the other services we offer, copywriting and design, especially copywriting, has just hugely exploded because I think people are trying to shift their strategy right now, or they're realizing that they need to build up more of their digital real estate. So we've had a lot of clients lately who want like a long-term blog strategy, or they're redoing their websites. They want an optimized website with design, etc., just to have it super sleek. And we found too, with online client acquisition, so many people think that they just need to have a beautiful website and people will come to them. But it's not true. Like you can have a really beautiful website, but if your value proposition or how you word it is really obscure, no one cares. No one cares because there's so many other people who have really crappy websites, and like as long as their message is clear, people will still buy from them. So people need to understand that in today's digital renaissance, especially as we're still going through this pandemic, attention online has never been higher. And you have to really think about where you're going to focus, not on so many platforms, but on your message. So we really help clients with that. And then sometimes too, like we'll turn, let's say, a consultation kind of project for starting entrepreneurs or startups who need like the big website overhaul or need a blog strategy in place before they fully launch. Then they'll ask us, okay, now what about this LinkedIn thing? Like, what kind of strategy can I put? So then that's where we then invite them into another long-term collaboration with LinkedIn. So that's kind of how it's working right now.
Interesting. Yeah. So you can have the flashiest website in the world if people don't understand what it is that you do and what that value proposition is and how you can help. It doesn't matter if it looks sexy or if it just looks like an average website. Is really important to have that crafted, very honed, very focused proposition. So I can come to it and go, cool, I get what you do. I know how you help and I know what I need to do next to work with you. So I think that's it's a really interesting point. And I guess on a website, a lot of that comes to the copy and having that real clear, having the proper words in the right places and having that very succinct copy. So I can see how that would work. And I could see that would also translate into LinkedIn strategy, right?
Yeah.
So do you find that you're doing copywriting for posts and engagement and that sort of thing as well? Or are you sort of balancing out video and copy? Be interested in getting to the LinkedIn strategy a bit more, because I know you.
Sure.
From my understanding with Julian, you do work with quite high profile people that are really targeting that SME, Fortune 500, higher end of people that are elusive, busy, hard to get in touch with, have no time. So it's quite a distinct strategy from someone sort of a bit lower down, like coaching, consulting, just trying to onboard that sort of medium tier of people. These are very hard to reach people. They don't like to stuff around. So I'd be interested to sort of get your perspective on what does that look like in terms of an approach strategy, the copy, the video, is it voice messaging? What are some of the tactics that are working at that big end of town?
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's like a solopreneur we're working with who kind of has their own agency and a few people under them, or even a Fortune 500. The strategy is pretty much the same. We don't believe in tactics. We believe in a long-term strategy. Like, you can win a battle with tactics, but you can't win a war with tactics, right? The art of war. You have to win a war with a strategy. So we engage with clients for 6 to 12 months. We found that anything less just doesn't work well because the algorithm on LinkedIn is constantly changing. But what we found from last year, like maybe 2-3 years ago, videos used to get a lot of traction. They don't anymore. They just don't. So we don't even waste our time on that. If a client asks for it, sure, we put together our videographer do it, of course. But it's not something we like to focus on. A lot of people ask us too about like articles. LinkedIn has been talking. Oh yeah, maybe we'll bring back articles and push them. We haven't. And something unique about Julian and I is that with our business, we co-founded the largest professional community in Shanghai, which is LinkedIn Local Shanghai. And we had like 3,000 members. Now we've let it kind of dissolve. But because of that, we were actually recognized for our work by LinkedIn China. So we talked to LinkedIn China. We have like worked with them. We just met with the CEO like last quarter. So we asked them like, what is going on? And indeed, they confirmed with us like, yeah, these things are not the priority of LinkedIn. So the thing that works is a structured post with a title in all caps to grab attention, but also it kind of indexes it nicely for you. So you can kind of like pick out what post is what. A nice graphic, not even more than one. And then a very clear like call to action at the end. It could be something like getting people to engage and comment. It could be leading to a webinar. It could be leading to a sales page. It could be getting people into a booked call. So that's where we shift the tactics because it's more micro there, but macro, it's about a really consistent, frequent posting strategy, like 3 times a week is pretty solid or more, but 3 times a week. And then as far as targeting leads, that's always on the back end. So I say the front end is the content. The back end is the private messages. So we work with the clients to really help them define their avatar client. Unless it's like a Fortune 500, they definitely know who their avatar client is. We build a leads list with their help. And depending on the project or the profile of the company, like they'll approve the list. But most people, like an SME, they have an idea, but they don't know specific exact people until we get started. So it's a little bit more of a widespread. But again, it's about consistently. So we're consistently on their behalf, reaching out to these people on these leads list, sending like a nurturing sequence of messages, but also our team is every day checking the inboxes of the accounts that we're running and making sure that, do I need to like send this person to a booked call? Do I need to send them to a webinar? Do I need to make like a group introduction with the CEO so like we can take immediate action? So really it's about like getting people's attention fast and getting them somewhere fast that's off of LinkedIn. But like, it's funny because we just had a call with a potential client and they were like, well, what about like quality of media? And I was like, what do you mean quality of media? Like we always put quality posts. And she was like, oh, I mean like videos, GIFs, da-da-da. And I was like, no, we don't do that. Like, sure, a GIF may be cute, but it doesn't make a sale. We don't do marketing for fun. We do marketing for sales, for the bottom line. I'm sure Julian has said that too. We don't do marketing for fun. And so that's what people need to realize, that in a content strategy, in a lead generation strategy, it is really a long-term strategy, and you have to keep being consistent in order to achieve results. And we do, at least with the clients who trust us and listen to what we're saying and don't try to like interfere with too many things. We know what works. We test everything our own selves, and then we tell our team how to execute.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really, really interesting insight, sort of going back a few steps to the fact that video doesn't work on LinkedIn, or is not. If LinkedIn said they're not prioritizing that as content, and it's more around engaging copy.
Yeah, it's not as high on the algorithm. Like if you've even been watching the home feed, videos used to be super like explosive, like tens of thousands of views. Now no one cares. Even the influencers on LinkedIn, no one cares because people are so inundated by so many messages. Now people are realizing that there is an economic crisis about to hit, and now they're finally waking up and freaking out and focusing back on their business. Whereas last year people were like, okay, this is great. We have some time to chill. Let's go online on LinkedIn. And attention was super high. People were experimenting. Right. Now they're not. They're not even consistently posting anymore. So I think, the good old-fashioned way is like the thing to do right now on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I find that really interesting because literally every other platform is heavily, heavily engaging with video.
Yeah.
So it's sort of interesting to see that LinkedIn's sort of pulling away from that. But I also like that they're going very, very, even getting even more direct on, as I said, call to action, like succinct posting, big headline. Here's in terms of the content, it's sort of updates, is it value content, something that's, here's the top 3, blah, 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 top 3 tips to grow your Instagram following, whatever, click here to get the PDF, something like that. It's kind of almost going back to like old school digital marketing tactics,
because you
just
have
like
to
really
make
good
it
content and
clear.
copywriting.
You have to make it clear for people, just like a website. And it's not that LinkedIn is necessarily like pushing that structure. That's the structure we use and we found that works best. It's that LinkedIn is going to push things that people are engaging with, and people will engage with things that are clear. If it's obscure, people just won't engage with it. So LinkedIn is going to look at like frequency of posting plus the quality of it, meaning like, are people not just reacting to it, but are people commenting? And I mean, maybe soon LinkedIn will push video again like they used to, but it's not the priority. Maybe again soon they'll push articles like they used to. There used to be like at least 3 to 6 months a few years back where articles were like the thing. And now people can write their own newsletters and invite people to subscribe. But even that, it's just, I don't really find it interesting. I think that falls into the place of what we call vanity metrics, where people just like, oh, I got 100,000 likes. Okay, yeah, but today $100,000. That's going to be my at the end of it. Everything that people do, people think just because they're busy online that it's going to do something for them. But if there's nothing it's striving towards, and it's just like, oh, I got so many likes, people like me, then you're going to be poor. That's just the truth.
Yeah. Your audio cut out a little bit there, but yeah, sort of got the picture. And that's, if you're not getting the engagement, those a lot of people focus way too much on those vanity metrics of, am I getting hearts on it? Am I getting likes? But if you're not making sales, or you're not making genuine, having genuine engagement and relationship building, and getting, as you said, ideally getting out of LinkedIn, getting off platform to your own ecosystem, that's really essentially what we want, right? Even if if LinkedIn is our marketing focus, we want to get off of platform, because tomorrow LinkedIn could be gone, or Facebook could be gone, or Instagram could be gone, or it changes, the algorithm changes, and everything we're doing. As you said, video comes back, and now we've got to start recording video to feed the algorithm. So it's so changeable. I like that you said that earlier. It's really important to get people, whether it's a landing page, a webinar, a training, something of value, but to get them off platform and get them into an ecosystem that you control.
Exactly.
And from that point, does your strategy sort of extend past that point as well? So now they're in a webinar, are you looking at those follow-up sequences? Are you looking at that sort of nurture content as well for your clients?
Yeah, so if we do a done for you webinar, there's going to be a following up sequence, like first to actually create the trust before the webinar happens, and like reminding them, hey, webinar's coming up. Hey, see you in a few hours. Oh, hey, we have a free gift. Like if you share, this webinar with somebody. And then after, we're following up for the clients as well, and we're helping to build their existing email list, or even start one for them. Maybe they don't have one, start it from scratch. And then that can go into something else, like we offer a newsletter package where we send 3 email newsletters a week for the client. And that can also increase their following, but again, create that connection with people off of a platform. That's digital real estate that they own. So that's part of kind of like the follow-up and getting people, really it's about getting people into a booked call with the client, because then the client has to take it from there. We don't close the sale, we just bring the leads.
Yeah, I love that idea. And again, consistency is kind of that key, right? The consistent posting, but then that consistency of message. We talked right up front about that consistent message on the web page, on the website. That's got to translate to consistency in the messaging, in the tonality, in the character of how you speak. When you're sending that messaging sequence, it's got to have the right vibe, right, and the right energy for the person that you're speaking to feel like it is you're engaging with that person. And that also then has to flow through to the webinar and the trainings and everything else. So how do you help your clients, kind of, if clients don't have that, and probably a lot of the clients that you're dealing with have that brand identity, they have that brand voice down pat. Do you find sometimes that you need to tweak that or shift that for a digital engagement, or clients that might come to you without that really cemented? Do you help them kind of create that that character and that voice and that messaging that's going to carry across the whole brand?
Every client we worked with, solopreneur to Fortune 500, has no idea what the hell to say to people.
That's good to hear for the solopreneurs out there, I'm sure. Nobody knows what they're doing, folks.
Yeah, they have no clue like how to even start a nurturing message. They always want to say too much. And the whole idea of a really nurturing sequence is to say what you need to say in as little amount of times, like maybe 3 messages max, to then get them into a call with you or into a webinar. The idea is that people's attention spans are super short these days, and that's just the reality of the world we're living in. There's so many messages bombarding us that you must get people as fast as you can to a face-to-face interaction with you. Webinar, book call. That's it. That should be the only goal that people are obsessed with, depending on or not dependent on like what type of business you're running. Because once you can get in the face-to-face, then you can really be talking to a real human being. I mean, could you exchange 15, 20 messages? Yeah. But then that's wasting time. And if somebody invites that person you're trying to nurture to a call before you even get to that, you just lost them. And you might have a better offer. So it's really about like getting them into a call as soon as possible, kind of like back in the day when we used to do cold calls and, you know, meet for coffees. Like that's what you have to do. So that's what we help them do. It's not even about staying like on brand. And people like will think that you need to do that. No, it's about being human, creating a quick human touch, asking them how they are, using their first name, and then be like, hey, I have a great opportunity. Why don't we grab a call? It's that simple. People are just afraid to ask for a call. So we help our clients do that.
Yeah, I think that's really, again, really interesting to hear that. I think LinkedIn particularly has that directness to it. And I've sort of found that a bit more myself. I think because it is that professional platform, people are there to do business. Yeah. That's the context of that platform, as opposed. So that messaging strategy sucks on Facebook, right? Because we're there to hang out and we're there with our mates, and it's it's a whole different context. But it's really interesting to hear, direct to the point. People respond to that quite well in that LinkedIn context, because they expect that I'm not connecting with them just to be mates.
Correct.
Right? I'm connecting because they can help me, or I can help them, or we're trying to assess that out. So it's really interesting that you get into that. It's that direct. Like, get in, build some rapport. Like, don't just dive in and say, "Hey, here's my offer. Hey, how's business? Let's work together." Build some rapport, but 2-3 messages. Keep it short and succinct, and try to get people off platform, or to a something face to face, whether that's a video, right? Because we still, as humans, we read video as a human connection, or literally like this, like a Zoom call, or a face to face, or a phone call, or something where you can connect. I think it's super interesting, and I think that is why LinkedIn still is quite a standalone, distinct platform.
Right.
Compared to the other platforms out there, there's this context of, we're here to do business and let's just get to it. Let's not mess around too much.
Exactly. Well, and the quality of the audience is better. I mean, this sounds so bourgeois, but there's a lot of poor people on Facebook because everyone uses it. There's no barrier to entry on Facebook. Like, anybody can make an account. Like, even my 14-year-old nephew has a Facebook. So you don't know how to properly filter the audience unless you're doing advertising, let's say, or a private group. And even that is hard to build up. But LinkedIn, again, almost everyone's there to do business. And if someone's there screwing around, the tribe's going to kick them out or ignore them. If somebody's not serious and connecting with me, I can just block them. If it's going to waste my time, if it's not going to add to my bottom line, or bring value to my network, or, help me connect in something with business, make me better in business, I don't have time for it. And that's people are scared to be radical, but especially on LinkedIn, I think you really should be, other platforms, whatever, do what you want on them. But I'm radical. Julian's radical. That's how we run our business. And we used to waste time like other people do, but we don't anymore. It's not for fun. It's seriously business is a war. Yeah, you can have fun, but business is a war, and there's so many things trying to grab your attention these days. So you really have to be okay, what's worth my time, what's not? And a lot of things, Chris, are not worth our time. We think it is, but it's not.
Everything's distraction, right? If it's not, as you said, it's not adding to your bottom line, or at least leading that way, or adding value to your life and business some way, it's probably something you should not be doing.
Yeah, and I'm not for everyone either. If I'm not helping them with their bottom line, or I'm not a valuable connection in their network, they shouldn't waste time on me either. So, it goes both ways.
Yeah, and I think that's like you're saying, you've got that two-edged strategy, right? The first edge is, okay, let's connect. Here's what I do. Here's what I'm about. But then secondly, hey, check out my content that's going to validate what I'm
Yeah.
about, my value, who I am, my personality. So you really need that sort of 1-2 punch to win the battle and get some money flow into your bottom line. Love it. Love that analogy. I think it's an amazing place to end. If people do want to find you, they'd love to sort of continue this conversation, find out more. They want to win that LinkedIn battle. They want to get more in the trenches with you. They want someone on their side that can help them sort of run LinkedIn better and be more pointed with it. What's the best place for them to come and find you?
Definitely LinkedIn, so they can start a conversation. But yeah, I see that you put our website, so thanks for that. But seriously, like, go to LinkedIn. I'm not on any other social media platforms. That's how radical I am. So you can Google stalk me, but to talk to me, you're gonna have to go on LinkedIn. So yeah, that would be perfect, and I would love to engage with people on LinkedIn.
Love it. I love that radical approach, and I think that's a great takeaway. Right, be contrarian, be radical, go super deep on that one thing, and get really focused. Take a radical approach. And if you want help with that, hit up Tamar, hit up the geniusgroup.agency, or hit her up on LinkedIn. Start that conversation and grow your business on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Tamar, thanks so much. It's been a super fun conversation. I was looking forward to this one, and yeah, I love your perspective. I love that radical perspective of just kind of get in, get it done. Super important in these short attention span days in which we live.
Exactly. Thank you so much for having me on your show, Chris.
My pleasure, my pleasure. And thanks everyone for tuning in. I hope you got some super value out of that, and you've got some ideas on how you can go away and sort of start to build your LinkedIn profile and start to do some business. So thanks again, Tamar. Thanks everyone for tuning in. And as always, we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.